hello.
Hello, Wanderers. It is Wednesday night. We're here for Wandering Wednesday. We're so excited because we're talking about yet again another amazing topic. So, buckle in. It's going to be a fun show. It's something I feel like we all relate to or will be curious about in one way or another. And we'll get right to it after. Hi, Natalie.
Hi, AJ.
You can learn more about us at soulwanderings.com. We've been doing our show for many years. Soul Wanderings has been around for 10 years in October, so a while. You can learn more about us individually or check out some of the past episodes from when we were on another platform. And also, we hang out in a place called Vibes during the day. Vibes, mind, body, spirit. And Natalie helps people through grief and the human design system. So cool. If you guys don't know more, if you want to know more about it, if you don't know anything about it yet, 10 recommend get a hold of this gal.
Thanks.
And then I hold space for all of these amazing practitioners we have and help people through trauma. So it's a good time. We're here to assist people in all the ways that we possibly can because it's the right thing to do for us. And we're just happy to do it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for spending your evening with us. The next hour, we're going to be talking about telepathy, consciousness, and human connection beyond the five senses. So, the best way for me to introduce this topic, and I am pretty sure all of us, if not most of us, have had this experience where you have thought about someone and then all of a sudden you see them somewhere, or they're calling you on the phone, or had a conversation with someone only to discover that they were thinking about the same thing at the same time. And what do we do with those experiences that seem like to exist beyond what our five senses can explain? And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. That's a fun topic.
It is a fun topic.
We have the answers. No, does anybody? Not quite, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Hypothesize, fill into the experience. That's what we're doing. And so it's a mystery. Telepathy is a mystery and it's a fascinating one.
Mm.
And I'm excited to get into it. So, first of all, how's it going, Miss Ma'am?
Oh, my goodness. We had a great event this weekend. So I got to talk human design and lots of human design. And that's always a thrill for me to sit down with people that haven't had an introduction and read the chart to them. And it's lovely because I feel the depth that I can look at a chart and explain to people is just getting better and better. So for me, that's a thrill to just be more talented at. And sometimes I surprise myself. I'm like, whoa, how I'm remembering all these aspects that used to be so difficult for me that they're just coming through my speech and language much more. I had a client today. He's like, what did you just say? When I was rattling off something about the not self mind talk, and he's like, what?
What does that mean?
Yeah, the language for it's just fluidly coming out of my mouth. So I'm good. There's still a lot going on. I was looking at the night sky last night, and there's two bright planets. I guess they were very close last night. I've been watching them up in the evening sky around 9:30, and how they've been coming together. And it was just like, whoa, they're close in our sky. I'm not close at all out there in the space, but I don't know. It was just a little note that I was looking at the sky last night. Have you ever looked up in the sky and there's just strange things if you really look close? What's going on? If you have any sort of looking device that magnifies what's up there, just outside of our atmosphere, sometimes you're just like, I don't know what's going on. I do not know what's going on up in,
Mhm.
but just with the naked eye, it's still beautiful
It's
as
so cool.
anything. And
We actually go ahead.
I'm excited to talk about the different things. And as you were introducing it, I'm like, we're going to have design talk tonight too.
Ooh, I'm here for that. I'm here for that. I was going to say I have a telescope in my living room, and it's just become part of the fixture. And then during the day, I'm like, ooh, I should check that out tonight. And then, you know, night comes and the thought goes away. But I have access to it. I just need to take it outside more often.
Right. I think those things have to be practiced with a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Lots of little tweakage and stuff like that. But it's
Yeah.
cool. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I like it. So, telepathy.
Yes. I know part of this is going to be a chunk about you talking about it. You've studied more of what I feel are psychic, tuned in, telepathic things than I have per se. But I do want to say, when you were talking about, you ever think I have that so often happen? It happened. I don't remember who it was, but I was like, I'm seriously just thinking about you, and here you are on my phone. It was really strong, and then the person called or connected with me, and I really appreciate that there's really no distance between us.
Yeah.
There just isn't. We just can have the ability to connect with another, and I just encourage people that if those things happen, don't let your mind talk you out of it. Just don't. Just don't tell the mind to just go pound sand for a bit, because, or shut up and color, because stop taking my magic away.
Oh,
Shush.
I love the attitude. That's good.
You can just go lump it, because I like seeing the synchronicities and appreciating the beyond the five senses, because
Yeah,
there's so much. And unless you're ready to transcend five senses, then you won't be able to get there. You have to
right.
realize that there's more beyond the concrete world that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's alive, everything's conscious. Watch these little ants. As I feed my cats, the ants get on the plate, and so I just move them outside, and I think about the consciousness of insects and how they're more collective conscious, but they're conscious. Everything wants to survive. Everything that has a life in it fights for survival to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this is what we're tapping into, that consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I dig it. I have so many questions every single day. Like, help me make this make sense.
Right?
And they're the same questions a lot of us are thinking or feeling for ourselves because, I mean, especially if you're here with us tonight or any other time, you're just like Charles just said, good evening, seekers. You are seeking. You are wanting to know, like, what is real? What is the truth? What is the truth for me? What does it look like? What are my abilities? What are my talents? What is my human experience like? And this is one of those things, I believe. And it's been in, I mean, when we talk about like our like telepathy or our human connection or consciousness, like these things play out in all different ways on movies and books and music and in research and studies and all of this stuff. Like everyone is looking to know what truth looks like, and
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be different for all of us no matter what road we take. And we're all going to be at the end of this road with still more questions than answers. But it's so fun, right? Because I mean, just even just diving into it, just like the what ifs, everything is possibility. And some of it is scientific, some of it can be proven, but not all. Like telepathy, no scientific, it's not scientifically proven. It's very controversial. Even in like neurosciences and things like that I've read into. So telepathy's been on the horizon for me, and more recently because of some experiences close to me, I really wanted to dive into it more. Like, how does this work? And how do we have the ability to communicate thoughts or feelings directly to one another through our minds? um, so interesting to me. Telepathy is also called ESP for a lot of people who aren't familiar with telepathy, extrasensory perception,
Right.
but it's direct mind to mind transfer of information. So, of course, it can't be proven. However, there are all these possibilities because, one information to another and then it's dictated. There's that proof, but there's not proof of how. How does that happen? How does thought transfer and emotion exchange and imagery of symbols or whatever come through? Like, how does that happen? And I love stuff like this because I'm always asking questions and I'm always investigating. You know this.
I
A
do.
lot of people know that about me. And so, whether I retain the information or not is not the point. It will come to me when I need it, right, Natalie?
That is correct. You do retain it. You just can't retrieve it on your own.
So there is a difference though. So there's telepathy and there's intuition, and they're different.
Yeah.
There's also what we would call empathy, which is more about the feelings, what we feel, um, the ability to feel what another person feels.
Mm-hmm.
There's also coincidence, right? So
Yeah.
there's so many different ways that we can perceive information, or it's just a coincidence. But is a coincidence just a coincidence? Like, those are things that I want to know. So, I mean, this conversation can go in so many different directions. I love that. And the fact that you said that there will be a lot of human design talk into this,
Mhm. Yeah.
that's cool, because I know that there are so many aspects to us on the spectrum of the human design system. I just, you guys, it's so amazing.
Right.
So let's just start from the top, I guess.
Or
We're
where we
talking about,
start.
yeah, I mean, we're talking about telepathy, consciousness, and human connection. So let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about telepathy first. We'll just kind of go in order. Um, what's your take, or do you feel like you've had any experiences with telepathy yourself?
I remember so many years ago. Um, I was working with someone and we were experimenting with cards. And before the show today, I reached into my bookshelf and I found a couple books. I have this. This is kind of a cool book. Not that I read it much, but I read a little bit of it. This is it was written in the 50s and it's ESP, seers, and psychics. And it's fun for me to just thumb through this a little bit, and I'll tell a little bit of the stories in a minute. And then I had this psychic development for beginners that I read, just touched into a little bit, because you and I know I'm not going to go in-depth study, because this is more of a casual conversation than presenting myself as an expert or on the situation. But I want to say that something that's just bubbling up inside of me. In order to achieve these extra sensory perceptions, there needs to be an awareness in a person. This is what I would say, that everything that's inside your skin is not you. Because if you don't have that awareness, you will dismiss what it is that's actually coming through as if it's your own. And so you have to understand that there's so much of what we experience that is already telepathic or extrasensory, and human design terms, you start to understand if you study your body graph, where you are empathic to the energies that are outside of you that aren't you, and then you can start to sort that out. So you can understand. So that framework today, just as you were talking about it, I was like, oh, we're telepathic already. Some people are telepathic to stress, or some people are telepathic to thoughts, or some people are telepathic to a person's life force or well-being, if you want to put that language to empathic, or through this telepathic way of speaking and hearing things. And then when I feel people, you have to practice it. And so way back when we were just funning with it, we were working with cards, and that's a basic starter telepathic exercise, is to just sit with someone and have a deck of cards and have the person pull a card and hold it in their mind. And then the other person would respond or write down the impression that they had.
Mm.
And you may find that the impression you had might not have been absolutely clear, like you saw the card in your mind, but that you could see the nuances of it. And then you keep practicing it, keep practicing it, keep practicing, because you have to strengthen that muscle. Wouldn't you say that's correct? You have to practice.
Absolutely. I think that is like the most important thing for sure.
Do we always want to be like, oh, I get it on the first try? Whatever. That's not the way it works.
I think that there are rare circumstances where that is the way that it works. Very rare. However, I just got done watching a series, very interesting show. It's called The Burrows. But there is an experience that one of the characters has, two of the characters have with telepathy. And he didn't have prior, obvious. I mean, it didn't say he had prior, it's just assumed he didn't. And then all of a sudden, he's getting this information and trusting that's what it is. And I think that can happen for some people. And also, I feel like although it's something we do get to strengthen, like the muscle, I feel like almost all of us have had an experience where it has taken place. There's no way for us to deny it.
Right.
And so I feel like certain situations, circumstances that it can happen, but it is something definitely to practice over time.
Yes.
Oh, that was your question.
That was my question. Wait, which question?
You were asking, don't you think? Yes, that's what I think. Well, I mean, you just like take the simple thing as like a phone call. How many times, or a text, right? How many times it happens to me all the time.
Yes,
I'm
me
thinking
too.
about someone and they text me, or I go to text someone and they're texting me at the same time.
You and I have done that a lot.
Yeah, it happens often. And I'm just like, I don't know how it's happening, but it's pretty cool. And we laugh about it. We're like, oh, that's cool. What a synchronicity. But there's something to it, right? There's like this energy around it, like, whoa, how did that happen? Like you're over there and I'm over here, and somehow we met here at the exact same time. Like,
Right.
what had to take place in your life and my life, or the in between, for that to happen?
Agreed.
There's this really cool podcast that I listen to called the Telepathy Tapes. If you guys haven't listened to it, it is so fascinating. At first, it talks about the parent-child connections that seem like beyond ordinary communication, especially if the child has like autism or nonverbal experiences. And they're able to communicate really well with their mother or their grandmother, is what it's shown statistically, more so with the mom or the grandmother. And they're having these conversations, or this information is coming through. The stories are so cool. You guys have to listen. But what happens is, like, they start at that place, but then they gradually get into like the whole spiritual aspect of it, of communication and human connection. And it's just a fantastic podcast. I highly recommend you guys check it out. But it's happening all over. And that is what is so cool, is because although it may be like, oh, I don't know if I should talk about that, it might sound weird, everyone's experiencing it.
Right.
Most everyone,
Right.
on some level or another, right? I just are like, what about finishing each other's thoughts? How many times have you done that? Like, you just know what they're going to say, not because you're predicting it, because it just
You can feel
happens.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, or you can feel someone's really suffering, or there's distress of some kind from a distance. There's just so many cool ways that telepathy like takes place. But yeah, I digress. Go ahead.
Well, there were some things that I read, just some examples, because in the book it was being psychic, or, well, when I want to say this. When people say, I would say this, but I feel weird, I feel like there's a bit of a we always have programs running, and I feel that there is out in the greater world a limiter that says, don't talk about that. somewhere on this planet, I feel like there is a program that wants to limit our ability to interact with each other on that deeper psychic level. And so there ends up being a stigma that's put out. It is, I don't know exactly how all those things work. I just know that sometimes I can hear that it's part of a program that's just like, this can't be done. And then you're talking about scientifically proven. I think science more often disproves than proves, because it throws out the things that are actually happening and saying, well, we can't validate that in our scientific laboratory framework, but we can go out somewhere where it is happening and say, well, we got to do that and replicate it in the lab, and we got to put it under these specific conditions where it may become inherently limited, or it builds such a box around it that it's not the way that it works. And so science often disproves or says that can't be proven, so it isn't real, when people literally experience it all the time. But it won't go in the check boxes. And for the longest time, I've understood that science will throw out the phenomenon because it's looking for reliable, consistent results. And so it throws out the phenomenon, but it doesn't mean the phenomenon is not happening. It's that it's not there. And there's lots and lots of studies. This book that was written in 1952 was talking about the connection with animals. And they talked about this horse that in the 50s was pretty famous, or it was it was in like 30s or 40s. This horse that was back in Virginia actually could flip these letters and would spell out words. And so this horse became famous. The owner, yeah, it was fun to read about it. The owner just sort of put it out there. It's like, come. And so people would ask the horse all these questions that psychic usually get asked. Am I getting married? And what's going to happen with my business? Or what's going to happen? And the horse would flip the letters and communicate.
Wow.
And spell things out for people. And so then we end it being this sort of entertainment aspect, but the communication between animals and humans really is there, and opening up for it and practicing it and being available for it, I think, is one of those components about allowing it more in your life and being not absorbed by our screens and our media and all those different types of things. There needs to be a space where, in the book on psychic beginners, like, you have to learn how to meditate to enter in a space where your mind is open and observant and listening, then occupied and sending and thinking. Just like if you pick up the telephone, there needs to be a two-way conversation. It's a sending and a receiver. Another thing it said in the book was, some people, if you set up an experiment like the playing cards experiment, where you're holding up the cards and you're sending an image to another person and they're in receiving mode, some people are better senders and some people are better receivers, or vice versa. Or some people are really good at both, sending and receiving. Have you ever practiced with playing cards or anything like that?
No. But I would like to, now that you brought it up.
Set up an experiment and say, okay.
I remember, like, gosh, this was a long time ago, over 10 years ago. I remember watching someone on YouTube, and they would hold up a box that had something in it and have you focus in on the box and feel into what was in the box, and then they would show you what was in the box. Is that what it would be similar to?
Yeah, similar.
Like what kind of card? Oh, okay, yeah.
It also said you could do a picture. So there was an example that said, look, you're looking at this picture, and they said a chestnut mare, which is the color of a horse. And then the receiver got the image of a large brown animal. Well, that's a hit. That's a hit, because you did get imagery you did receive an image of what was they were sending. So oftentimes you're not looking for an exact match, but you're looking for success as far as at least some of that. Maybe you pick up a color, maybe you get an aspect of it. Now the receiver needs to trust without over analyzing the thought pattern. Like, isn't it just it's the first hit of what it is that your intuition picks up, because intuition is such a quiet, instantaneous aspect.
Right. It reminds me of when I did remote viewing training. So you receive a target number that's attached to a person, place, or thing, right? And you get images that pop up when you tune into this target. And they tell you to take your personal opinion away from it. So say you see something that's red and round, and then your head gets in the way and says, "Oh, I'm seeing an apple." But actually it's a red bouncy ball. So it's really important the first information that you get is red and round without making a human assumption of what the item is, but just know that it's red and round, and that can mean multiple things. It's a possibilities, and it's more about strengthening that muscle that helps you tune in to what the red and round item is.
It's lovely.
It's really awesome. I tripped out so hard in remote viewing class. Like I tripped out so hard. Like how do we get this information to us through a target number? Or it's just like without even knowing what it is. Nothing. It's just tuning in, and it's amazing. Um, the one thing when I sat with telepathy not too long ago was the biggest message that I got was it isn't about transmitting thoughts back and forth to each other or strengthening your intuition per se, but it's more so about remembering our connection to each other, that human connection, which this is part of the show, because we're all connected. And it's more of a frequency, in my opinion, where we just have to get on the right channel.
Sure.
And I don't mean the right channel like right or wrong. I mean, as Natalie's frequency is at 111, I need to turn into her frequency at 111 so we can have that connection. Or strengthen the muscle. Either way, it's fine tuning or strengthening.
Oh, for sure. And practice would have to do that. So look, fascinating to have a conversation about it where you're sitting down and you're doing a very specific experiment that a lot of the books will write about, that says, okay, you want to practice something, you want to look at an image, you want to send it across someone in the room, or you want to set up a specific time so that the communication happens. We get really used to our communication coming through our telephones, and the devices that where we just listen to the human voice, but that's still within the five senses realm. And this is asking to us
expand,
to listen in more deeply. And I like to open up that conversation to just more. When you feel that a message needs to be given to a person, we can be messengers, we can be senders. And this happens to you and I often, where we feel compelled to share a bit of information with someone, and it can feel awkward to do it because it might be mistaken as woo or spiritual. Oh well. If it is, it is.
Yeah, I don't try to push it on anyone per se. It's information. Take it or leave it. It's just like any other conversation we'd have on any other topic. Take it or leave it. We all have different beliefs. We all have different ways that we see the world, woo woo or not, whatever you want to call it. I just think that kind of stuff is like titles. Woo, I love boxes. So,
Right.
you know me,
So how
put
do we
me in a
benefit?
box.
But yeah, how do we benefit? And what would be the benefit of strengthening this muscle in your perception?
So, I'm going to put telepathy aside and let's just talk about like connection in general because it's all encompassing. It's all pretty much the same, just a different way, a different roadmap to get there, if you will. But when I think back to like ancient traditions, when I've learned about like different types of connection, it's always s- I think statistically said across the way, they view telepathy or that kind of sensory connection is really natural, not extraordinary, because it's just who we are. And I'm trying to remember your specific question and where I was going with that. But overall, as far as like, this is how I look at this is a good example. Because we're all connected and there's this consciousness, right? It's like when I come up with this really great idea. I'm not the first person who's thought of this really great idea. Everything's been thought of before. What I believe happens is that like the first person or the first energy or the first being, whatever it is, drops this idea in, let's just call it a cloud. I may have explained this before. This is how I see it. This idea is in this cloud, just kind of hanging out up there, and someone can look up and be like, oh yeah, I have an idea, and grab that, right? Because it's available for everyone for the taking. And so, like, I have this idea now because I'm connected to this, but someone else also grabbed that cloud and they're connected to it. And then they're connected to it. And next thing you know, we're all connected. We're all coming up with the same idea. It's how trends go too. Like, I see it a lot on social media. So I have a personal social media that I have where I share crafts and hobbies. And like I'm just doing my thing in my intuitive space, doing my intuitive art and thinking, oh, wow, this is so amazing. And then I put it out there. And next thing I know, there's other people who have done something similar when I thought I had this original piece of work, but it's not original at all. It's my own interpretation of it, but it's not original at all. Similar to when you're like, oh, I want this car. Nobody has this car. I never see this car on the road. And then you put your energy into this car, and now everyone has this car, right? It's like that. It's all connection. That's how I look at this, all of this. The information's there for us for the taking. We can connect to one another because we're already connected. It's just the tuning in. It's just the strengthening the muscle. And I say just that as if it's an easy process to do, but remembering who we are has never been an easy thing for a human experience because that's why we're here. Our whole life we can go and not remember who we are. But the point is to come back to ourselves, right? To learn and grow and remember who we are and come back to ourselves in our most authentic version. And all of that is this. All of the things we're talking about is that. It's all encompassing. And so I don't think that it's out of reach for anyone. And I feel like anyone can communicate. I mean, I can look at you across the room and you know what I'm thinking. I don't even have to say it out loud.
Right.
And it's not always because the look on my face. I could just be looking at you and you're like, mm-hmm. Like,
Mhm.
if you know someone well enough, you can pick up on their energy. It really is that easy, but it's just the fine tuning, just really tuning into it.
Right. And I have to say back to what I was talking about is that I have worked for a lot of years. So this is my practice. I've worked for a lot of years in understanding me and what is mine and the way that I feel consistently throughout my life and the awareness of when I'm sensing other people. And I do have a lot of practice reading people and being in spaces with people and understanding what someone else is going through, what they're feeling, maybe what they're thinking, what their language sounds like, and how it isn't mine. And allowing for that. And that gives me insight so that I can give back what I have to give.
Natalie is moving some energy tonight.
Yeah, that's true. Either I'm super on point and someone doesn't want the message to get out, or I don't know. It's really funny.
Or you have
to
a
be
tickle
like,
in your throat.
or have a tickle in my throat, or have a tickle in my throat.
Or it's just a coincidence.
Oh, it's just a coincidence that I would just be coughing during the show. I'm just telling whoever it is, stop blocking my voice. I get a right to do this.
Amen.
Right. But how many people, how the listeners, are you familiar with what's inside of you that is you? And when is your intuition talking? Or when is it that you're receiving a message? Can you read the room? Can you separate the things that are inside of you? Which is what some basic meditation does. Is it teaches you to pay attention to your body and read the messages of the body.
Yes. Yes. I feel like meditation has been one of my greatest teachers. And when I have been working on my intuition specifically, meditation has been hands down the best way for me to deepen my connection. So I have a little thing how they differ. Okay, guys, telepathy, intuition, empathy, coincidence. Telepathy is about direct thought transfer between people, and it's speculative. Intuition is internal insight without conscious reasoning. Empathy is feeling other people's emotions, and coincidence is a random event alignment. So, by definition, that's how they differ, but they're so interconnected because of our connection, of our human connection. How you feeling there, lady?
Wow, this is quite an experience I'm having on this side of the camera. Well, I'm just moving some energy. Maybe
Well,
I'm
that's
having.
good. Maybe you're just fine tuning.
I'm probably fine tuning. Like, let's clarify this voice a little.
Yeah.
Getting out of my own way.
I feel like people often mistake emotional attunement, so the empathy part of it or the subconscious pattern, which would be the intuition, for telepathy. So they see meaningful coincidences as like proof, like mind to mind proof, but there's these distinct processes, but they can all feel connected, right? In a very personal and emotional way.
Yeah, so I feel along those lines from even what little bit I was reading, telepathy and remote viewing has come online since some of the work that I was reading. And from what I remember listening to you, there was a very specific procedure to get into the place where you would be in the receiver. Now, I'm going to go from that to I have a lot of experience in a ham radio operator, and so I definitely have done that. It's like it's like, but sometimes even like surprises me to realize it's like, oh my goodness, I because the electronics are still a little bit like I don't know how they operate, sort of thing. But operating radio, you have to tune to a very specific frequency and have the other person tune to the same frequency so that the radios can communicate, because they go along on one frequency. So it gets down these, you tune it into this number, and the person that I'm operating the radio with and going to talk to, they're like, okay, we're going to meet you at this time on this frequency. And I get to my radio and I tune it, and there's an antenna, and then there's power that sends out the signal, and the other person has to have the proper antenna to receive it, and the radios translate. So look at this. I tuned into it, and now I have the message to share. And that's what telepathy or remote viewing is, more along those lines of getting into a very specific space to send and receive.
Mm.
And even if it is that you're tuning, you're okay, so I'm tuning into AJ's thing, and I'm going to send her this playing card, and I'm going to be very, very specific about sending the message, not really broad, because then there's too much vagueness. It will go over blurry. It's like getting really tuned in to that very specific space and time and translating a message. We've even done this through radio waves. You can send pictures. It's really cool to be able to do this
Wow.
transmission of data. And so it's on this plane of existence, and we do it through our machines. But telepathy and these kinds of aspects actually says that we're the machine, we're the radio as well. And we have all the things in us that just hasn't been dusted off and hasn't been practiced with.
Yeah, I love that.
So getting into meditation is the precursor of training the mind.
Absolutely. Hands down, meditation is incredible. Absolutely incredible. We've talked about meditation on the show before, but for the listeners who are new, and I hear this every time meditation gets brought up. I can't meditate. I can't hold still long enough. I just want to send this reminder out there again. Like, meditation is not about holding still or completely clearing your mind. That is impossible. Maybe unless you've lived as a monk for 50, 60 years, that's not a normal human thing. Meditation can look like a lot of things. A walk in the park, a doodling on a page, a reading a book, talking with a friend. Like, there's a lot of ways that meditation can be for you. So don't close your mind off to it. But there is power, energetically power, when you can sit with yourself and allow your thoughts to float away on clouds. As they arrive to your awareness, just watch them float away, because we attach to those thoughts so easily, and they don't support us when we're in a meditative space. It is good to calm your body, relax your nervous system, drop into a higher frequency. So however that looks like for you, do that.
I definitely know beginner meditators, or if you're just beginning a process, sometimes you have to sit for 5 or 10 minutes and just be able to sit with the uncomfortableness of sitting. It's not something we do. We live such a distracted life in this modern society. And it's been a while since I did a lot of structured meditation. This may be reminding me, this conversation, I'm sure, is reminding me to drop into a space so I can, because in order to do new things, you have to practice a new way of being. But there's a lot of discomfort that people experience when you sit down to do a practice like that. And from my take on it, it's, you got a lot of clutter that's inside of you that just needs to be let go. I love the analogy of just letting it float away on the cloud. There's some examples of, you sit by the river and let the thoughts go along on the river. The book was talking about having, there was the time beach, or the beach on time, that in your meditation, you go to the same place. So your mind can picture a place, and then you go to the same place, like you're arriving at a place. Now, what that means is that there's so much more than this physical world. Like there's places that exist that aren't a physical place that you can be shown that's like, here's the place. And I know that I've heard in some, when you're learning how to tune in psychically, or if someone wants to learn how to strengthen their psychic mediumship, they find their place where they're in their third eye space, where they go. What's your place look like? I remember one time in a psychic class that I took, that was like 4-session class, and my mind just showed me. It just showed me. It was just this whole vision in my mental space that came to me. That's like, oh, that's my place. That's my place where I would go. So it's something like that. And the practice is that. And I'm not really great. I don't really love guided meditations when someone's guiding me, but that's some of my nature of just not leaning into it.
I
So I
think
lean
it's a
into it.
good thing for beginners.
Yeah. So then you get this established place and you go visit it often, and you learn how to you have experiences in the mental space that you can go and meet someone. You can even meet your loved ones that have died. And these are all aspects of stretching the mind space. It is so vast inside us.
Mm.
The inner space is just as big as the outer space. And I'm talking about beyond the atmosphere of this planet.
Mm-hmm.
That inner space is incredibly big, interdimensional.
And we are that. I have not heard of what you just shared, going to a place before. That's an
It's
interesting. I'm gonna feel on that. I'm gonna check. I'm gonna experiment with that.
yeah, I'll show you some this well, this was on the beginner's book. There's just some basic practices in beginner psychic book that says, okay, do this, like go to this place. And I've read it in a few different strengthening your intuition, or to have a, and I remember going through one years ago, that if you going to the control center inside your body to adjust different aspects of the body. I went through a guided meditation where someone says, okay, you go down into this place, and then you're gonna wander on this little path, and you're gonna go up a little hill, and then you're gonna come to the shack, and then you're gonna go inside, and you're in this control room, and you can flip switches and adjust the settings for your body.
That is
That
awesome.
it was
I'm
pretty awesome.
I'm gonna do some tweaking.
This is all to say, what's potential? We have such incredible potential, that there's a lot of humans on this planet that can do these things. And they're probably just, if they were to listen to this, they'd be like, yeah.
Duh.
Of
Well, it's
course.
interesting though, because military and government has big interest in consciousness research, right? And in my opinion, they use it. I don't think it's woo-woo. I think that although science says they can't prove it, it's proven in other ways. Um,
And it's
beyond
done.
right. I mean, I know that the government has remote viewers working for them because they're protecting the space from other remote viewers. You see it when you go remote view. You hear other remote viewers saying stuff like that as well. And I just think, there's so much to it that is so unexplainable and so much that we just like, what do we, how, and so it's really easy for them or whoever to say it's because it's not real, because they don't want us to connect in those ways. But we are infinite beings. and
Yeah.
we're meant to connect in this way. And personally, I see and feel that it is how we are designed to operate regardless of being a human. So, because we have this human experience, we're giving these meat suits and we're giving these voices and things like that. It's not how it works outside of here. We all are telepathic outside of here. That's how we communicate with one another. We're not communicating with voice, frequency, vibration, telepathy, yes, but we don't have the same communication as we do here as humans. And I feel like a lot of like indigenous cultures, they're nonverbal. They non-verbally communicate with each other. Some don't even have a language. They don't need a language. The ones that are like completely off grid, right? That don't even play into this.
Right.
They're working how they're designed to work. Speaking of design, what do you have with the human design in regards to all of this?
So I touched on it a little bit, but um, there is so much that's in our human body that's mapped out on a body graph that shows where we're receptive. The receptivity of other people's energy and the human design of understanding that we're literally able, when you live your design, to read the energy of other people and have some pretty good information about where their nature is in any given moment you encounter their aura. You
Mm.
can tell if someone has stress going on, or if their emotions are elevated, or if their emotions are happy. Or we lean on a lot, and a lot of the language is empathic to just emotions. And people think, oh, I can feel a person's emotion. But what I'm saying is that when you understand your own body graph, you understand that your thoughts, the vast majority of people on this planet are reading thoughts all the time, they think they're their thoughts. We're already telepathic. We're already open in our mind space. We're literally designed to be telepathic, to be the receptor or the receiver of information. And if I were to, this is coming up to me right now, saying if I were to set up an experiment, I would take some people that I know that have a defined mind, that are designed to be senders, because they have definition in their head or their ajna, and they would be the sender. And then we would have that person picture the image in their mind, and they would be the sender to a person that has undefined. And I bet
Mm.
you it would work out smoother.
I see a class coming.
Would be the experiment, saying, oh, I know who the senders are. And then those people with, let's just say, a designed ajna, they could take and hold the concept or the
Mhm.
image of it, and they would also be effective to send to someone that was undefined in that area. And then you start to have people understand, just by mapping on the design, who's more qualified to do one or the other thing. And then you're going along with the nature versus just having everybody, because not everybody is open up in the mind space in the same way. Or you could personalize it to say these particular people are receivers of this kind of thing or this kind of function, and reading the maps that are, or the maps, excuse me, reading the different gates that someone has undefined, and understanding
Mhm.
that that would be the receptors. We have receptors and we have senders, or emitter of a nature. And so going along with the design, it could be, the experiments could be tuned to actually, in my estimation, be more successful.
Mm.
And it
Let's
wouldn't
go there.
surprise me if some people that would set up these, it's more than experiments, because this was done back in Germany, decades ago, where they were doing telekinesis and bending spoon. People bend spoons with and there
Their
may be people, if you could look at the design of the people that are more successful at bending it, you could probably figure out why they end up being more successful than others. So then you could clarify who you would even give this challenge to.
Right.
If I could look at the audience and I could say, okay, you and see someone's body graph, I'd say, you're the receiver. You're the one that's going to be listening for the message to come through because you're already doing that. You just don't realize that all the stuff that's up in your mental space is inflow, not you.
Right.
So
I
that's the
feel,
part.
yeah, go ahead. That's the part.
That's the part that I feel about the design, that there's insight that can really personalize your own experience with these types of concepts.
Right. Right. And I don't think it's so much about finding the answer if it's true or not. It's just to become, to me, more aware of your own experiences, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What what if it's what if not all of this that we're talking about isn't even meant to be solved? What if it's
Yeah.
just a way to expand the way we see ourselves and each other? Like, think about that. What if it's just one of those topics that is what is bringing us that human connection?
Yeah.
Just to even talk about it, let alone practice it. I I think that there's just curiosity is such a beautiful thing. It's such a high frequency. When we're curious, we have more questions and we have more connection because we're having these conversations. Um, and then we have these more meaningful experiences.
Right. I literally just in this last week saw an email or it was a blog post from someone that I follow. And he just posited all these questions, all these questions, all these questions, all these questions. And his point was, isn't it more fascinating or interesting with the question, not
Mm,
an answer? This
I
was the seeker. It's like if you just frame your thing in questions, there's this flow and this openness and this curiosity and this seeking and it's less limited with a question because to suppose you just don't know. To
mhm.
suppose you just don't know is to open up to more. And that's what we talk about all the time is the opening to the moreness
Yeah,
than just this set limited aspect. I think that's one of the things people get sort of turned off with some of the set religious interpretation of God or higher consciousness because you're just like, this seems so limiting to
right.
something that's way bigger than us.
Absolutely. And what if the mystery itself is part of the invitation?
Just part of the mystery.
Yeah,
Trying to know the unknowable. It's unknowable, it's ineffable. We
yeah.
do our best to put it into words so we can communicate about it and have this exchange. And yet the words just are such a limit, but
Yeah,
fun to play with.
they are limiting, however.
Yes.
It's just such a fascinating topic. I'm so glad you guys chose it. We don't have answers for you,
No.
but it is a great topic of conversation. And I hope that you guys really lean into it and fill it out for yourselves and perhaps explore, strengthen those muscles, fine tune the frequency, whatever it is. Experiment. Be more aware of your own experiences and how they're interconnected and how they're connected to each other. It's powerful stuff.
Hmm.
And listen to the telepathy tapes.
I'm
No,
going to
I'm
write
not
that down.
kidding you. It's entertaining because of the way that they explain everything, their experiment. It's like a story, but it's really, really cool because of the research that's being done regarding this with just everyday people. So it's a good one. Any
Wow.
final thoughts before we wrap tonight?
I am glad that I got clear so that
Heck
I could
yeah.
speak.
Yes, you did awesome.
Thank you.
And thank you, listeners, for your time and energy you have spent with us tonight. It's been so fun. We didn't pick show topics to share with you tonight. So next week will be a surprise. We like surprises.
Yes, we
Either
do.
way, we hope you tune in, and we'll see you guys on next week.
Have a good
Until
one.
then, good night, everyone.